So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So guys, I just want to touch on Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. A lot of you have asked me, why do I think that fight's not going to happen? Because I said yesterday that I don't think that fight's going to happen. I did explain yesterday, but let me go into it. Errol Spence has said, I don't know if you saw it, he was on the Canelo fight, and he basically said that Terence Crawford has to take 70-30 or 60-40. And Terence Crawford a couple of weeks ago came out and said that fight is not going to happen unless it's 50-50. Terence Crawford has more achievements than Errol Spence. However, Errol Spence has fought stiffer competition. He is the current unified welterweight champion. However, I think he's bang out of order for asking for 70-30. He's basically saying he's got to take what we give him. Otherwise, this fight's not going to happen. We as boxing fans are being robbed time and time again because of some egos that these fighters have. Now, Terence Crawford is willing to take 50-50, which I believe is a fair split for this fight. And why I say that is because Terence Crawford's a 3-weight world champion. I don't care what people say, oh, who's he fought? That's irrelevant. The fact is, he's a 3-weight world champion. The fact that you don't think he's fought anybody, he's a 3-weight world champion. There's many guys. Adrian Broner's a 4-weight world champion. You know, you have to give that guy a respect. You have to give that guy respect. You know, he's won titles in 4 different weight classes. Crawford's won titles across 3 weight classes and was an undisputed 140-pound champion. He beat every other champion in that weight division. That needs to be respected. Right? Errol Spence, yes, he's probably fought the stiffer competition. Yes, I'll give him that. However, as boxing fans, we want to see that fight. And a 50-50 split is a fair split in my opinion. Just because Errol Spence might be slightly the bigger name, not a huge name, not a superstar like a Mike Tyson, or he's not on that level, is he? He's a slightly bigger name than Crawford. He holds 2 belts, but Crawford's achieved more. So I think when you add everything up, it really smells a 50-50 fight, right? But for Errol Spence to say, I want 70-30 or 60-40, that the fight's just not going to happen. And as boxing fans, we're being robbed of these big fights because that fight's not going to happen. For me, this has another, in the UK, it has another Khan Brook written all over it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I just feel that, and it's got another Mayweather-Pacquiao written over it as well. It might happen, and to be honest, it won't happen because I'll tell you why. Mayweather-Pacquiao they were both at 147. They weren't going to move up or down, and they both could make that weight easily. Errol Spence is struggling to make 147. He's a big welterweight. Eventually, 1 or 2 years, he's going to move up. So if this fight can't be made within the next year, this fight's not going to happen. Errol Spence is going to move up because he's going to struggle. He's going to start struggling to make the weight. He's struggling to make the weight now. He's already talking about him going up to fighting Canelo at 160. So the fight between him and Crawford is dead in the water as far as I'm concerned. Because this fight has to happen in the next 1 to 1.5 years. And I don't see it happening. Just because I think Errol Spence is still going to think that he deserves the bigger slice. And Crawford's got an ego saying that, no, I'm achieved more than you. I deserve 50-50. So we're never going to get this fight because of the fact that the split is going to be a problem. Because Crawford is a very strong-minded character. He's not going to take less than 50-50. I can't see it. And Errol Spence isn't going to budge either. If there's anyone that's going to budge, it's Errol Spence, not Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is not going to budge. I think he's a man with principles, and I just don't think he's going to budge from 50-50. I don't see it. He's not going to budge from 50-50, and that fight is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I just think it's gonna be a damn shame that we're not gonna get to see this fight. And again, as boxing fans, we're gonna get robbed again. We get robbed because really the fight should be happening, shouldn't it? Why shouldn't that fight happen? Because one guy has an ego and thinks he's the bigger draw and he's got 2 belts, so he deserves lion's share. They're both going to make a shed load of money fighting one another. It's a 50-50 fight. I don't understand. And that's why I have a problem with Spence, because Spence seems saying that he's a big dog and all of that. 70-30 is a joke. Or we'll give him 70-30. He needs to take 70-30 or 60-40. To me, he doesn't really want the fight on that basis. I don't think he really wants to fight Crawford. And I said it yesterday. I think he thinks that he'd rather move up weight. I don't see him fighting Terence Crawford. I'm not saying Errol Spence is scared of Terence Crawford, but I just don't think he wants that fight. I just don't think I think he prefers to fight Canelo or prefers to move up. I don't see that fight happening. I think Errol Spence thinks that he's the bigger draw. He thinks that, I want 60-40 in that fight. I want 70-30. Because he knows that Terence Crawford's in a weak position because he's with Top Rank and he's got nobody to fight. And Errol Spence knows that he's got everybody on his side and he's got everybody he can fight. The only problem is that we as boxing fans are going to get robbed once again of a mega fight. And like I said, with the Mayweather-Pacquiao one, we got it past their primes, and we still got the fight. With this one, we're not going to get it at all. Because like I said, Spence is going to move up. And that to me is what the problem is with boxing. We never get the fights when we want to get them. The really, really big super fights never really happen. They never really happen when we want them to happen. Yeah, you get the other fights. You get the other big fights. Like, we got Spence Garcia. But they're not the mega fights that the fans want. And this is why boxing gets hurt. This is why boxing gets damaged, because the big fights that we really want to see at the time when they're at their peak, when they're the fights to make and the fans would be really excited and buzzing for the fights, we never really get them in boxing. We never really get them. Like right now, Joshua Fury's a great fight. It needs to be made now. But is it going to get made now? Now, UFC, Dana White would make it. He sees Spencer and Crawford. This is the time to hit. This is the fight's at its peak. We're going to make it happen. Problem is with boxing, it never really happens. The boxing fans never really get to see the fights that they want to see at the right time. And that's a damn shame. If this Spence Crawford fight doesn't happen, what a damn shame it would be for boxing fans around the world not to get to see this fight. And like I said, I think there's a great chance it won't happen. Because of all the reasons I mentioned, the egos, the fact that Spence thinks, it's a 70-30 split. It's too much. It's too much for boxing fans. As a hardcore boxing fan, it really annoys me. Because we're not getting these big fights, man. We're not getting these big fights happen when they need to happen. And we're getting these YouTube fights, these exhibition fights that are doing bigger numbers. Because these guys, the reason why a lot of these guys don't have huge followings, huge names, like some of the YouTubers, because they don't listen. They're boxers. They're not fighting the other best boxer. So how is your name gonna grow if you're stopping super fights from happening? The only way you become a superstar is by having super fights. And Spence and Crawford haven't been involved in a super fight yet. They haven't been involved in a massive super fight. They've got one super fight that they can have with each other and potentially have trilogies. Back in the day, look at Morales, Barrera. These guys had trilogies. Pacquiao, Barrera, Pacquiao, Marquez. They had trilogies, man. They fought each other more than once. And that's why they became superstars. That's why they became legends, because they fought each other. They were great fighters in their day, and they fought each other more than one occasion, gave the fans great fights. That's why they had such big followings. That's why they were so appreciated by the fans. That's why they're now seen as legends, Hall of Famers, because they fought each other time and time again. We live in an era now in boxing where these guys just don't want to fight each other. They just don't want to fight each other. And I don't understand why. Surely the best would want to fight the best because they know they get paid more money. The fans, there'll be more fans, there'll be more attention. That if you win the fight, that it increase your reputation. But now it just seems like, it's all about the money and always, I don't know. It's because you can't even say it's all about the money. More all about the ego. One doesn't want to give in to the other. You know, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And that's why boxing is, the popularity of boxing is decreasing. That's why we haven't got a Mike Tyson kind of figure. Mike Tyson came back and did 1.6 million pay-per-view buys with Roy Jones. Why do you think? Because Mike Tyson fought everybody. He didn't care. He fought everybody. And he obviously had a great persona and he was a great fighter. But if Mike Tyson just fought nobodies throughout his whole career, nobody would have appreciated him. He fought everybody. Wasn't afraid of fighting everybody. Look, Mike Tyson is still more well-known than Mayweather. Yet Mayweather made so much money, but yet Mike Tyson's more well-known around the world than Mayweather. Really, when you think about it, everybody knows Mike Tyson worldwide. Ali, everybody knows him. He was an icon. Why? Because of of course, what Ali had more to what he did outside the ring as well that made him such a big name in the sport. But what he did in the ring was incredible. And unfortunately, these guys, right now, it's all about business. And it's not about giving the fans the best fights. It's all about filling their own pockets and having the ego. And you couldn't, like I said, when I say filling their own pockets, they're not even fighting the guy that would make them the most money either. So it just, I don't know, it's just frustrating. As a boxing fan, it leaves me peed off. It leaves me angry that we're not getting the big fights. Why are we not getting these big fights? Why are we not getting these super fights? The fights that the fans really want to see, the fans are crying out for. Why are we not getting these fights? And it's just sad as a boxing fan, because Spence Crawford is a fight. If that fight doesn't happen, it'd be a damn shame. And for me, the way it's going, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you're thinking, guys. Remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.